Hello everyone, Milk here, welcome back to the channel, and what I have for you today is a fantastic episode where we do a raid that literally changes everything. But before we hop on into that, I'm just going to show you a super easy way to get black pearls, probably the second easiest way if you don't have a black pearl gacha, over on the center. These alpha moses, they're quite common swimming around near these underwater bubbles. This is the southern underwater bubble, and there's a couple alpha moses spawns nearby. You just grab it with a tuso. It'll eat you a little bit on the way, but you just gently push it into the bubble, and there it is. So it can't survive out of water, and it's free and easy 100 black pearls. So, no further ado, let's get into the video. So here we are over on Svartalfheim. This is a modded map made by Nekatis, the same guy that did Astreos. It is a really great map. I think at some point Wildcard are going to add it to the official cluster, but they haven't done it yet. The thing with this map is that there is some really broken caves. You can't throw out cryopods in any of the artifact caves or use a tech suit, which makes it challenging for the PvEers, but an absolutely broken base spot for the PvPers. So here we are over in a little cave by redwoods. So already if they had turrets in this underwater channel bit, it would be extremely hard to raid, as you'd have to swim everything in, and that initial door that you saw doesn't even fit a carbo in. This is just some metal walls that I blew in the other day when I was scouting it. We're just making sure they're offline and that they haven't placed any turrets. But the real nice bit about this cave is coming up in just a second. You'll see there's another wall, and this wall again doesn't allow any tames to fit through larger than a Deinonychus or a terror bird. So to get into this cave, you're going to have to either flak run, maybe pyromane dash, or, and we'll see in this video, the most broken way of raiding such an OP base spot that guarantees all the loot. So here we are, we're just going to toggle photo mode just to have a little scouting. You can see they've got a fair number of turrets, not loads, and this is their base. Looks like, you know, it's not a main base, it looks like it might have been a little bit of a fob, but those deadies are stacked. There's some cryofridges back there, there's quite a few vaults. There's a couple tech replicators, so I reckon this is going to be a juicy raid. So let's find out where their generators are, and we'll make a plan. So what you can see here is a little trick to offline scout an enemy base. You can see there that I've just turned off my VPN, which desyncs me with the game, so I've essentially already disconnected on the live game, and this means that you can freely run through an enemy base past the turrets for about 20 or 30 seconds. And this just gives you an opportunity to try and find the generator. So I've used this to see if there's any generators underneath the base, which there aren't. So we're back in camera mode here, looking for sneaky hidden generators above. And I'll be honest, it took me longer than I'd like to admit to spot it, but you can see the pink glow just in there, and that is their tech generator. It did take me quite a while to find that, hiding in plain sight. So next task is just to try and get a little bit closer and clear the foundations. So we can probably just get rid of this tech turret with our rockets. Oh, actually, there's some wreckage there. Looks like I got a heavy turret. What do you know? Okay, and then we just finish off this tech turret. Just take a few tech turrets, a few rockets, even on 6x, but that will just give us a bit more freedom to run around and clear the foundations. So there we go, foundations cleared, time to get our fob down. So here we are, just placing a generator, a couple turrets, just to make sure nobody sneaks in behind us. And what you can see there is the start of my structure, which gives you your first clue as to how I'm going to raid this base. That's right, we're going to build in. We aren't rich back over on the center, so I'm going to be using stone walls and foundations and ceilings for the most part. But the next step is to get foundation control for the entire tunnel to build in. Now this cave isn't near the surface. Well, it's a little bit near the surface where we're going to get our foundations, but we are going to have to build quite a long tunnel all the way back in through the underwater and through the redwoods to get foundation control above the base all the way to the generator. Now fortunately these guys didn't bother to spam out here, they didn't bother to spam above, so that's why this is doable without having to clear loads and loads. So yeah, you can use pillars, you can use triangle foundations, you can use normal foundations. There's quite a lot of debris around and narrow passages, so the fact that Wildcard added quarter ceilings and walls as well really helps with this building technique. And of course the fact that you now can just have a wall or a ceiling and you can change what kind of structure it is when you're already in the tunnel building it. You don't need to bring so many different door frames and so many different hatch frames. And the new secret door that is basically a solid wall that you can turn into a gap is exceptionally fantastic for building into a base like this. So here we are up at the top in the redwoods at the other end of the build. You can see here that I'm unable to place any more ceilings without foundation support. So this tells me that we have come to the end of where our foundation support gives us. So here we are running back along the very long build that we've done. It's all ceilings and pillars and triangle foundations at the moment. We're just heading to the other end of the build so we can place some foundations, and what this is going to do is tell us if we are actually at the limit. And so now you can see I can build ceilings where I couldn't before, which tells me that this is where the entrance to the base is. So now in my head I've just got to be clear in my head where we are inside their base, and you can test all this in single player. You can do ghost mode to figure out exactly where the landmarks are to find out where the generator is, but you can have 3 ceilings either side of these foundations, so there's actually quite a lot of leniency for error. So you know, the generator is around about here. I'll place a couple foundations at the end just in case I need to be creative. And oh, Druidons, the scariest part of this raid. Hate the redwoods, absolutely hate the redwoods. Oh, okay, so yes, we'll head on. Oh no, more Trudons. Oh god, oh, I'm gonna pass out. Oh, that was clutch. Just before it got me. Right, 5 minutes later, I've woken up and I've killed the Trudon. So here we are back in the cave, starting to build our tunnel. I've obviously just sped up the recording just so you don't have to sit through the entire piece by piece build. But at this point, we've done all the planning, we've done all the prep. We're just going to do it slow and methodical, making sure that we don't get shot by any tech turrets. So here's our first challenge. This is difficult because there's turrets on our level and there's turrets above us. So I thought at this point the best thing to do would be to blow the turrets up. And in all my wisdom, I picked a rocket. So I had been trying my hardest to stay out of the logs so they wouldn't know who raided them. But what you're about to see here is a moment of not genius. The tech turrets don't shoot the rockets, but that heavy turret does, and in 6x that makes short work of my stone structure. So here we are, just retrieving the corpse, just putting in protection from the turrets. I'll get my kit back and then we'll pick up where I left off with that stupid death that set us back. So here we are, back to fast forwarding. I ended up just building around those turrets that we came across. Like I say, as long as you're slow and methodical and you don't take any chances, then this technique is pretty fail-safe. And also it assumes that they're offline. It would be better doing this in metal, then your structures can take a few more tech shots, but we didn't have the luxury of lots of metal to spare. Here you can see the advantage of the new secret doorway they added in ASA. I can't see what kind of structure I want that far up ahead, but there were turrets that meant I couldn't poke my head up any higher to plan it out. So I've popped a secret doorway in. You can see there at the end of the passageway, if I want to turn that into a gap in the future, I can do that without having to risk destroying a structure. So it just makes this just so much easier. It looks like I might want to turn it into a gap so I can go a bit further along there. So yeah, much easier in ASA than it was in the first game. So this here is our first little peek at the target. We weren't able to get close enough to do the photo mode before, and we can see there the generator is not only exposed, but there's no turrets nearby. We're almost there, just got to build our tunnel just a little bit further. Now what I didn't realise when I was doing this raid, that the people that own this cave were the alphas of the centre, and that death that appeared in the logs was going to turn out to be rather game changing when they realised that the guy that just raided their base on Svartalfheim happened to be living in a rat hole next to their main base on the centre map. Sometimes when you're building into these bases, the angles are just so tight, so you can see there that I really couldn't see that tech turret, but it still managed to get a shot off, and one shot, one mistake could have destroyed the entire tunnel, and there's no way I'm getting my kit back this deep into their base. So here we are, we've placed the hatch frame over where the generator is, and we just need to finish protecting our tunnel so we can drop down. Now obviously if you've got a tech rifle, this part is extremely easy and you probably don't even need to be this close to it, but we don't know the luxury of tech rifles either. So place another ceiling down there so you can get the snap point for your walls easy, and then we just place a ladder down and we'll drop down on top of the generator. Simple as that. There we go. We're well within C4 range, and we can blow that up with our C4, and it's all 6x. So here we are, generators down. They didn't have any other generators, so we're just going to go rifling through the loot. Lots of good flak, bunch of random saddles, some shields that would have made building into that base a lot easier. But yeah, good loot. There's a deddy of hide there. There's a lot of resources here. We got some of their lines. They left some fertilized eggs in here. There's some shards, some elements. So in this one, more flak. Lots more flak. I think this probably was a fob that they had when they were raiding this map. Because it's all sort of raiding stuff. There's not a lot of, no BPs. And actually, unfortunately, there was no tames in the crowd ridges either. But there was certainly a lot of ARB. And there we go. Successful raid, easy profit, but now angry alphas. So we're going to have our hands full back over on the center. See you there in the next episode.